tonight. So this meeting will be informational only. Unfortunately, Kathleen is sick, Brewster's at a game, Dawn is on a business trip, and we'll get to Vicki later in the meeting. But we, as we are creatures of habit, we still wanted to have a meeting, have informational only for the people that were able to make time today, and we can still rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That means we will be tabling a bunch of things and doing them on our next meeting. So for that, we said. All right, so we'll table approval of minutes until our following meeting, and we'll just keep this going as much as we can. So, public comment. Any public comment at this time? Yeah. All right, sounds good. First thing
to speak to.
What?
There's no voice.
That's right. There's no one to speak to, so you'd be speaking into the ether. That's all. But thank you. So yeah, it was very last minute. We were going to have a forum, but unfortunately, things happened. So, all right. First up, student representative report. Lily, take it away.
So at the top there's like a list of games that I found.
Whoa.
It goes on like the weekly or monthly newsletter. Thought I'd add that. But this week for varsity baseball, they have many games this week. They traveled to Hopkinton yesterday. They're in Claremont today, and they have a home game Friday. Do they? I don't know if they have a game Wednesday, but they will. JV has a game today in Newtown, and they have a doubleheader in Kearsarge. Softball has a very similar schedule to baseball. They traveled to Hopkinton yesterday, Claremont today, and they have a game at home with Kearsarge on Friday. And I think they probably have a game Wednesday as well. Track went to Moultonborough today for a meet, and they have another meet at Belmont on Thursday. For the arts department, band has been working on marching band stuff as we get ready for the Memorial Day Parade on the 26th. And we're also working towards our concert in June. I believe it's the 5th.
It's the 4th.
4th?
It's that Wednesday.
The 4th, 5th, or 6th. I know
Yes.
that. It's one of those.
But there's concerts all week, that week too, so, yes, the middle school too.
It's the arts week, June 2nd to 5th.
Oh, yes.
For the Art and Club and Writing Guild, their literary magazine, they just finished collecting submissions, and they're working towards honing their writing skills. Interact Club had a silent auction, dessert auction on Thursday, May 8th, and they participated in the Rise Against Hunger event on Friday, April 25th. They hosted a meal packing group project with like other schools in the area. We Lebanon Rotary, Interact Clubs, Windsor, Interactive Rotary Clubs. And their whole group packed 10,152 meal boxes for their room, which is like 47 boxes of meals. There's a lot of food there for people who need it. And then we're scheduling the birthday cleanup event on the 4th. I believe DI had an ice cream social with other teams in the area on Friday, last Friday. And they had a murder mystery dinner last Saturday. It was Murder on the Grill. I heard it was really good.
Yes, sir.
And Adeline and Reese, they head to Globals May 22nd through May 25th.
Yeah.
NHS is working on picking their officers for next year and reviewing the senior scholarship recipient that they're choosing, and also working on planning our final preschool meeting of the year. Student Council is working on planning a retreat. We're going to go for like half the day, and we're going to like focus on planning stuff for next year so that it's really good next year, and we have more time to focus. Freshmen are also working on planning their end of year dance on June 6th. Juniors are working on prom plans, which is this Saturday. They just sent out a prom court voting form. And seniors are working towards things for graduation, as that is now a month away. We just picked Marshall's Ushers in a class song. There's other school news. There's working hard on scholarships still. Lots of AP testing going on this week. Last week there were quarter 3 department awards, like for the honor roll, and they also announced the class of 2025 valedictorian and salutatorian. Braylon Stone is the valedictorian, and Lily is the salutatorian.
Hold it. That's you. So I want to recognize that this is our Lily. Here. Very, very proud of you, Lily. I had to embarrass you a little bit.
And there's lots of talented artists in the school. Silas, Gloria, and August were chosen to represent the school in the Magnified Voices Expressive Art Contest 2025. Their art will be at the Career Museum of Art on Wednesday, May 21st. They're in a special exhibition and award ceremony. We congratulate these guys. They're doing great. I put their photos of their work on the bottom. And Sophia Adams, who's a junior, has spent her year working on extended learning opportunity building a small baking company. Sophie Stowe, which combines her passion for baking cookies and curriculum for personal finance course, which is really cool. And there's been lots of upcoming and recent field trips lately.
Cool.
What's going on?
All right. Thank you, Lily. Any questions for Lily? Just a few updates. It is a busy time of year, as I'm sure you're finding out as a senior.
Yeah.
That's right. So everybody's busy. Cool. Anything else? Anything for Lily? All right. All right. Up next on our agenda, we have finance facilities. I'll give you a quick rundown of what we did in that meeting. Minutes are in your packet. Oh, by the way, I do have Dawn on my speakerphone, so she's going to jump in next on the co-curricular activities report. She just does not count towards quorum for voting. So I will share that. We had a solar presentation from Terry McDonald, who's a local person who's worked a lot of solar projects. And we're going to get some information on how much our electric bills cost. And he really did a good job of explaining different options for how we can go solar, like dip our toe in, go up to our knee, go all the way in our waist, depending on how big we want to do and what that sort of thing is. We need to figure out, we need to talk to Liberty. We have some things to do, but when more board members are here, I think we should pencil in a discussion about where we want to do for solar. If we want to do like a small dip our toe in the water, if we want to do something a little bit bigger, or if we want to really go big and see if we can partner with somebody like Hypertherm or Dartmouth Hitchcock. But those are all possibilities. So we'll talk about that at a future meeting. Then we also talked about, Matt gave an update of what they did over April break, doing some floor repair, heating units in CES, and fixing some ceilings after they had done those HVAC work on there. IRS had some floors replaced with no wax floors. All the skylights in IRS are 100% done, so that's great. Here at the high school, you may have remembered they got a bathroom cleaning cart, which will sanitize bathrooms and make it so that they actually get really clean top to bottom. And so they've trained people on that, and they'll be using that between this building and that building. And you may see outside on the bleachers, they replaced a lot of the wooden boards on there. They look really sharp. So that's good. Talk a little bit about heating. The town of Canaan is holding a hazardous waste collection on May 31st at CES. That I'm doing for my job, but we're using CES as the site. So if you live in Canaan or Enfield, bring out your waste. Talked about CIP, some updates, and we'll have that in the packet that we'll have to approve on the next following board meeting. And then talked a little bit about reusable utensils at the high school, coming up with a plan for this year or coming year. And then talked about a little bit about policy. So that's what we did finance facilities. Any questions on that?
Would the school district be eligible for the rebate of the 30%?
That we don't know yet. I'm not sure yet. So we're still in the process of like working with all those people. They handle a lot of that stuff. So yeah.
But that's a big deal. Like,
yeah, it is. It is. All right, cool. All right, we'll pick up some of that stuff at a future board meeting. All right, Dawn, you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about co-curricular?
Yeah, so we met on Thursday. I could ask you, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so we met on Thursday. It was the first one really of the year since the rework. We got an update from Steve, who had some information for the group on different clubs that are current, just to try to get a handle on, what's got good participation, what's kind of got legs. He is still waiting to get more from Marissa at the IRS and a couple of other sources to really fully where their money's all going to, things that they've got money going towards, like lunch boxes for the baseball teams and, just various things that they're trying to raise funds for to continue to support all of the teams that they support under their umbrella. We also talked a little bit about what does that look like to maybe get some sponsorships with banners, of local businesses to help support some of the need for the activities. We also had, for the first time in history, the Enfield rec director there, the new rec director, which is Todd Thompson. So he came, and we believe that he'll be playing a pretty integral role as we move forward, because Enfield really oversees the youth sports portion, basically 7th grade and under for the Mascoma district. So it was really great to have Todd there and have him. He's still getting his feet under him. He's pretty new still, but have him talk a little bit about what his visions are and the programs that he's hoping to provide for the kids and the beaches. And so that was all very, very cool to hear some revitalizations for Enfield's rec department that'll definitely directly impact the kids, all in good ways. And I'm trying to think, I think that was mostly it. We meet again in September for our next meeting.
All right. Cool.
Any questions?
Any questions? All right. Thanks, Dawn.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. Next up on our agenda, we have the superintendent's report. You have that here. Amanda, you want to?
Sure. You do have my written report in your packet. Two things. You'll see I start with a picture of Sean Limereau. I think I said that right. Did I get that right, Tina? Yeah, mostly. He presented, so there were 6 presentations at the Hartford CTC program. It's their culminating experience for seniors. And Sean was selected to present for health services, I do believe. He did a fabulous presentation. He really took us through the growth that he has made in the 3 years. I think he started as a sophomore. The 3 years that he's been part of that program, just incredible showing. Here would be a project that he did, even last year, and because of skills that he's learned there and implemented, here would be a project that he would have done this year. So it was fascinating. Super proud of Sean and the work that he's done there. So that was great. That happened on May 6th. It was a conflict with the finance and facilities meeting.
Okay.
So that's going to happen on some Tuesdays since we've changed that day. So, and maybe Tina will talk more about this, but on May 2nd, the high school had a visit from the senior director of the College Board Advanced Placement Program, so the AP program. Her major focus was to come in and talk to the AP pre-calculus class. She was very impressed with the growth that our kids had shown on the AP exams, and she wanted to come in and talk to the students and talk to the teacher and see, what we're doing that was making kids successful, in case she can share that with other schools. So super proud of that also. We also did attend The Little Mermaid, which was super cute. Hopefully some people got to see that. Very well done. Very optimistic. Makes my heart happy to think about the future of the drama program here. So.
I heard it was absolutely packed on Sunday. I did not go to Sundays, but I heard
we did have 15 people from the senior center, the Mascoma
awesome.
Senior Center attend.
Great. I heard there was a lot of people on Sunday.
Great.
That's awesome. Cool. Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Anything for Amanda? All right. Up next, business administrator's report.
Michelle is currently at a conference.
Okey-doke. You have financials in your packet. And with CIP, you can review, and we will talk about that at our next meeting.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Up next, we have bus routes update. I'm sure this is about next year, because surely we're not changing anything for this year, are we?
Well, we did have someone resign, so I'm going to count this as notification. We do need to move forward with those changes.
Yep.
So I am going to give Sierra permission to do that. We had a van driver give 2-week resignation, and they do not have a replacement as of yet. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with these changes because they do need to happen for the sake of kids and families.
Yeah. And it'll only be for how many days?
25.
All right. So exactly.
Thank you, Kevin.
I knew I'd have that. So yeah, it'll only be for only for a few more weeks. So unfortunately, and at least it was just a van, not a whole entire bus. I guess. So. All right. Table school board photo. Tuition student set tuition rate approval. We're going to table this, but for your informational item, that is in there for the average state cost per pupil for 25-26 is $21,545. We set the tuition rate at 3% above the state average, and that would make our tuition in the 25-26 school year $22,191. So that's for your informational only. All right, and then next, we'll table this as well, but you'll find in your packet legal advice from the New Hampshire School Board Association on the general assurances letter. This is what has been asked of us by the Federal Department of Education. Please read these general assurances through because they've made a lot of changes on them. Please read this notice from the lawyers as well. So yeah, we will talk about that at the next school board meeting. So that's that one. All right, quarterly reports. Which one of you would like to go first?
Wow.
As a father.
I teased her earlier that I was going to go first because I live the closest.
Take it away, Tina.
First off, I do want to say congratulations to Lily. She's
Yes.
been really a representative on the school board, just a representative for our student body. She, excels in so many areas. Really, congratulations to her. It's a great achievement. Before I start with my full report, I just wanted to share some exciting news. We had 51 students take the AP exams in the past week and a half. They just have more to go. We had 2 students doing late testing. We had 14 seniors qualify for the prestigious academic recognition of New Hampshire Scholar. They received the National Honor Society envelope on their diplomas and will be recognized during Senior Award Night. The newsletter for seniors will be going out tomorrow, which is detailing all the dates of upcoming things. So I think that's pretty exciting. Also upcoming is the Arts Week, which it's district-wide, so that starts on June 2nd. It also goes into the 3rd. They have concerts. IRS has 2 concerts. Then the high school concert, we have a district-wide art exhibition. We also have empty bowls on Wednesday, June 4th. Also on May 20th, something new. Some of our student leaders, some of our students are going to participate in hosting an event for guardians and teachers related to education on suicide and suicide prevention. This is a group of students who have been meeting with some Dartmouth Health to work together. So this is their first night, and it's student-led, and it's really pretty cool. So that's all that other exciting news. You do have a copy of my quarterly report. It breaks down our building goals, what we're still working on. I think, for me, most exciting is looking at data. I'm super excited. So just hop over to my SATs. Our students that took the SATs this year were above the state average. So I think that's pretty exciting. Our 9th graders also were above the state average. What we've already done looking at data for 10th graders is they were a little bit below the mean. So they've already dug in. We have a data team. They've already dug in, looked at growth, students with high growth, students in need, looking at areas they need to work on. That work has already begun. We're already running all those reports. But I think overall it's pretty exciting to see the direction we're moving in, the direction of the staff. So that what they're doing to support PSATs and SATs. But 10th grade, we got a little bit of work to do. It's not horrible, but we got a little bit of work to do. We recognize that. But 9th grade came in, they were a little above the state average. We are doing test prep each week. We're going to start a little sooner this year. We're also looking at other interventions to support all students as we go into WIN. And then, just looking back, collaborative conference is coming in October for the ask. So that process, we're already working on that, but that's big coming up. So, any questions?
These are great growths. The
Yeah.
scores growth are really, really cool to see.
Yeah, so I actually put in for 10th grade and 11th grade, you got to compare how they did. the year before.
Yeah.
I don't have that data, obviously. We can give it to 8th graders, but I don't think middle school would want another testing.
No.
But just to look at, 9th grade where they're at, and then to be able to compare, 10th grade compared to the 9th grade year, and 11th grade compared to their 10th grade year. The 11th graders have been strong consistently. But even to look at 10th grade, we know it's been consistent where they're at, so what are we gonna do to grow them? So,
Yeah.
pretty exciting. I'm pretty proud. And our AP scores from last year were good. So many students testing this year. It's really
That's
exciting
awesome.
things happening.
Like over the last 5 years, where are we? Like, what's the average growth for like the last 5 years?
So
in our-
it dips and it ebbs and it flows. Remember, it's hard to compare in the last 5 years because of COVID.
Oh yeah.
So like we're growing. We do like last year's class wasn't at the same level as this year's class. So we you have to watch the growth all the way, and actually the teachers through data team are going all the way back, like 8th grade, 4th grade, to then follow tracking the data all the way through. It's not apples to apples when you compare middle school or elementary school. I think we're seeing the growth, and I think the work with WIN at the elementary schools, the work at the middle school, we're just going to continue to grow and improve our, you can't judge a full student by test scores, but we see that growth and like targeting what we need to. We're not that far, even in 10th grade, off the state average.
No,
So,
not at all.
it's just good to see. But like I do think the work at the other schools is all going to carry over to the work that happens here.
So what do you think is going to be some of the interventions that you'll use for 10th grade, if that's the case?
So right now they're already looking at areas of weakness. So they pull the scores, so you have your math and you have your reading. So they can pull the math areas, like College Board has things and gives instructional resources, instructional pieces that students are missing. But it's all different for different students, right? So they're pulling that data and they're looking at, what does this kid need? Is he missing geometry pieces? To focus on that. So we've actually looked at the way we do the curriculum as well, so that we can make sure our students are getting geometry by the time they're in 10th grade, so they're done it, so earlier on. So that's something that's important, because we want to close that geometry gap. The other piece is elementary schools, what they're doing, as well as the middle school, with their math curriculum, that's also going to close it as things go. But they literally, like, the College Board has pieces that you can like pull right out and look at the student needs. There's all these reports, an individual student report identifying their needs.
Yeah.
And students were picked up all of their scores over the last week. Students were able to get a copy of their scores and the information that went with it in the building.
And then you got a copy of that too, right?
Oh,
It's a fun sheet to look at.
it is, but you have to though. Like if
Right.
you don't, every student's different. And how do you support the individual student? But that's why like we have people that just dig into data even deeper than like I look at this piece and then they go further, and that's what we want them to do, right? That's why we have data teams.
And to answer your question, Joe, I did in the fall a historical data presentation to the school board. I'm happy to share that with you and
Yeah,
Diane.
that'd be great. Oh yeah, we can build
Because
that up.
it follows the cohorts
Yeah.
of students, because last year's 11th graders are not this year's 11th graders.
No,
Right.
yeah, no, I know.
So, but I do track it by
I mean, the
cohort.
real concern would just be, are we trending upward? That's the real
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we
Absolutely.
need to be.
And like that's why we have WIN and we have those things. That's why the elementary school is doing their part, and middle school, like it takes all of us to get them to 11th grade to meet where they're at, and we've been able to get back to teaching, right? Like that's important.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see, like, as kids have this for more years, more intervention
Yeah.
for more years, as they go through, like kids are with Kevin now,
Yep.
what they look like in 4 years when they're up here.
Yep, and we have Khan Academy test
Yep.
prep, and we have those other pieces in the building that, we have Wednesdays that are just dedicated to test prep stuff. It's 30 minutes where kids just go on to Khan Academy. It's self-guided.
Yep.
And then we can track progress on the backside through Khan Academy.
All right,
Thank you.
cool.
You're welcome.
You got questions for Tina?
Yeah, good job.
All right, cool. All right, whichever one you'd like to go next. All right, go for it, Jim.
How's everybody today?
Good.
You have my quarterly report. I put in there a little bit of some of the cool things that EVS has participated in this year. Most recently, on Friday night, we had our New Hampshire Dance Institute end of the week sort of celebration, and families were out. There were a very large number of people here. I think the auditorium was completely full.
Yeah.
And it was just really well attended. We had a lot of our students showed up. I know that the dance instructor Lisa she's like, about half of them aren't going to show. Not true.
Uh-uh.
Not true. I think we had a handful, maybe less than 20 kids that didn't participate Friday night. So that was really, really exciting. We had a few that maybe were out on injury and a couple that had other things that were happening. But we don't need to get into that. It was really well attended. We had a great time. The kids loved to come out and see The Little Mermaid. We brought the whole school up to watch that at a performance, and that was really, really great too. And the more we can get them up here to see some of that stuff, the better. Lots of our kids ended up going on Sunday, which I heard was completely sold out because they had seen just the first half.
I had a chance to talk to my coworker's child who went to that in the school, and they were like, "But they only showed us the first half. We have to go back." And I'm like, "Yeah, they hooked you."
Which is exactly what we're hoping for, right? Like that's what we want. And
But it hooked. Yeah, she was so excited. Anyway, sorry.
It was great. It was really, really good, and the kids just really loved it. And Ethan and staff had a great time, so that was good. My building goals are pretty similar to what they have been. We brought in the regulated classroom creator, Emily Daniels, in the beginning of the year. The PTA helped me bring her in for a presentation. Every classroom has the regulated classroom kit, and it's all about keeping yourself regulated so that your classroom stays regulated. There's movement breaks built in. There's all these other things, and they all got a manual and all of the materials, and they've been using that regularly. Kids are now asking for certain things out of that and using that throughout their day, so that's really great. Our MTSSB team has been working really hard at behavioral targets to help manage the social emotional stuff at school. Our most recent celebration was really cool. The Friday before April vacation, all students K 1 through 4 had recess at the same time. Kindergarten had their own recess, but then the entire building, K through 4, and all of the staff sat in the gym and had lunch together as a whole community to sort of celebrate the end of our most recent celebration. The PTA joined forces with our PE teacher, Trent Jones. Instead of doing the jump rope for heart this year, they wanted to do something where whatever the fundraising would stay sort of local. And so they partnered with the PTA to raise money for CHAD. And kids participated in a jogathon where they ran or walked laps in the gym, and it was really well attended. We had PTA support all day long, and we walked and or ran 5,473 laps. And we collected $660, which the PTA was going to match before they sent it to CHAD. So it was a really cool fundraiser. And my data is looking really phenomenal. I want to draw everybody's attention to second grade. If you look really closely at both reading and math, if you look at the red bar for both second grades reading and second grades math, the red and orange, it exponentially dropped. So they went from 37% in reading in the fall to 13% in red. So that's epic, right? Like that speaks to all of the things that we're doing in WIN, and it speaks to all the work that we've been doing in our tiered interventions. They had a similar drop in the math. So their red and orange went from 17 and 23 to 3 and 7%, which means all of those kids are now almost at grade level or at or above grade level. And so that's a huge, huge gain for us. And it speaks to the work that we're doing in WIN Block. We've improved our intervention model. Our tiered supports are really just, everybody's buying in. They're all looking at data and they're making changes. And it's been a really good.
Cool.
Yeah. Any questions?
Any questions for Jamie?
Well done.
I really like how you retooled the jump rope-a-thon, and the Kids Heart Challenge is a worthy cause, but I like that you kept it local. Yeah. And like we have CHAD here in town, like right locally, and working with them to very tangible effects.
And we have very connected families,
strong connections
within the district that are really impacted by CHAD.
Yeah.
And so we felt it was really important to do something that was a little more meaningful to the building.
I like that. I hope you do it again next year. I think that's the type of thing that we like to do more of. So
yeah, I think that's the plan. And the PTA brought in the classroom at each grade level that ran or walked the most laps either had an ice cream party or a pizza party, and the kids got to choose. And the PTA provided all of that for us as part of the process. So it was a huge celebration. It was really fun.
Cool. Any other questions? All right. Which one do you want to go next? All right. Hey, take it away.
So we have been working
this year on our SEL program. We have a new committee called Attitude, Morale, and Positivity, and doing things like the senior center, food drives, the pasta dinners that we've raised money for, the New Hampshire Dance Institute, and all these things have really helped with our morale. We've also done all these words, everything that I've talked about before. The biggest thing that's coming up though is our community day, and thanks to FOM, we got a mini grant, and on the half day next week, the whole morning, the whole school is going to go out at 9 o'clock. Everybody has picked a part in the town of Canaan to work on. So some classes are going to do the rail trail, some are going to all the pots in the common. They're going to plant with Friends of Canaan volunteers. All the vegetables at the library are going to be planted. Our gardens at our school are going to be done. The trails are going to be raked out back so the kids can use them. So every class picked a project.
Awesome.
Also, Laura Doherty also got an FOM grant to do she's going to build a book library for the school. So every kid's going to volunteer their time. So they're going to spend the morning volunteering their time, and we're just going to kind of, stop the day in school and go outside and volunteer time. So it's a whole thing about community service. The fourth grade did a community service with our spaghetti supper that we did, and they absolutely could not stop talking about volunteering. And we had a whole big discussion about how fun it was to volunteer, so we're really trying to promote that. We did 150 pounds of food like a month ago.
That's right.
We walked it over to FOM, so we're really trying, and we're connected with the senior center every month. So we're really trying hard to teach giving back to our community. So so we have enough gloves for every kid. We've bought all sorts of rakes and grabbers and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to have a good time next week. Our staff is, we have a bunch of staff we have one staff that graduated and got their master's last week. We have one person that's finished their letter training, and I think we have 5 or 6 staff members that are still almost through it, getting there. We have learning through teaching, which was put on through the school that a lot of our teachers have been doing. So we're getting there. And our test scores. So we are, our math is pretty right on in the middle. 4th grade, we're doing really well in the green there. Our reading, we've had a lot of discussions about reading. We started WIN this year, and we really found we've been having a lot of discussions at where we found the holes and what we need to work on when we regroup next year, as far as the number of kids, the groupings that we do, whether it's phonics work or comprehension or fluency and all that stuff. So we've been having the last several impact meetings talking about where we want to take this next year as we grow, because this was our first year, and so we are learning as we do, and so this was a great learning experience through us. So, and then my very back page just has some sample pictures of things that we've done, reading with Sam, our upcycling project, our FOM, our seniors, and things like that. So we are very, very busy. Just ending the year.
Yeah, you're on May. You only got 25 more days.
I know.
Get there. Any questions for me? This is all such good stuff to see. I love the community service day idea. I love that. I can't wait to see that in action. And when you have kids that are excited about volunteering, you just want to grab that and be like, yes, let's go.
Yes, and the fact that they're doing it with community members, the town of Canaan Gardeners are coming out to help them do it.
That's awesome.
So it'll be good.
Cool. All right. Who'd like to go next?
That's one of you two I had to beat.
That was pretty quick.
All right. Take it away, Kevin.
So, Indian River School, for acknowledgements, our Destination Imagination team going to globals yet again. I believe the 3rd or 4th year in a row.
I think so.
I know every year that I've been back in the high school, that's 3, we've gone to globals. And you got Skylar Martin, Gretchen Lockett, Jay Bledsoe, Izzy Botello, Manny Christian, led by advisors Heather Oliver, Matt Oliver, and Todd Guilford. So, outstanding job. We also had a kindness project done by Ms. Fisher. She does it every year. She had a group of students say, well, we're going to do a bake sale. And so Ms. Fisher thinking, well, I'll match whatever you raise. Making a bake sale. Cookies.
Yeah, $100.
Yeah, cake. Right. So they did that and they raised $800.
That's a lot of cookies.
And so Ms. Fisher, they let her out. They said, look, you don't have to match. We never, in our wildest dreams, say we earn $800. But being the person that Ms. Fisher is, she dug deep and she matched it. So $1,600 of act of kindness went to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Abby Harkins, Brooklyn Bondi, Sophia Smith, Morgan Fitz, Ayla Wilson, Peyton Clement, Addie Irwin, and Nora Emerson, along with teacher Heidi Fisher, raised $1,600 for St. Jude's. So
That's great.
Quite proud of that. Professional training. We went to Nelms again this year with our Nelms team and had another presentation by one of our staff at the Nelms conference down in Springfield, Massachusetts. That was Kelly Green, who did it on deep dive data, and it was packed. So, well done. You see our challenges, our focuses, our building goals. NEWA data from last year to this year, we've slipped from 43rd to 49th and 50th percentile in reading and math. So we have some areas to work on there. We're already developing a plan of how to attack, especially on math. And we're graded, and if I'm wrong, Ms. Isabel, straighten me out.
Sure will.
We're graded by the state on how well special groups do on these state testing. And for 15 years that I've been in this district, we have one subgroup that always cannot perform in math. And we have done many interventions. Some of them were successful. However, when it raised the bottom, it raised the top astronomically. And they're looking at that gap from the lowest achiever to the highest. So in their terms, we made it worse. But we know those interventions work. April's going to bring that back to the table with the team. And again, with a deep data dive and how to make our MTSS multi-tier system support, kind of like the WIN block in the elementary schools, to target interventions for low achieving and high achieving students. So I have confidence that Ms. Guinness will get Indian River back on track. Swiss data, some interesting stuff on our behavior matrix. We had steady growth in misbehavior last year, if you see the top graph.
Yeah.
This year we started out better and then hit record highs in December and January, but then lows in February and March, which is where you want it to because you're headed into the testing season. We've been testing since the last of March, 1st of April, and 8th grade is doing theirs now on the state test. Right behind it, 7th grade next week, and we get a week off, and then we do our final NEWA assessments in Amesweb. So to say that April, May, and part of June are our assessment months at Indian River is an understatement. So when they say, we'll give you another test, I'm going, no, please. Please don't. So, some other good news. I just compiled the GPA for the Presidential Gold Awards for the 8th grade. 29 out of almost 90, isn't that a third?
That's
A third had a
all right.
3.39 or better.
All right.
So that's the Gold Achievement Award that we handed out at graduation. So, again, the top can grow, but they grow higher than the bottom. That's the problem. And our s'mores, there's some data there on our s'mores newsletter, and our communication goal with the public just keeps growing. People want to read what we have to say.
That's for sure.
Any questions?
I think we're good. All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Since this is my
I was
last
gonna say, yeah.
meeting,
Any words?
I want to thank you. Thank you for the support for 15 years. I wish the other people were here. You've always supported us, and we have questions or concerns or needs, you provide. You're behind the kids, you're behind the district, you're behind the scenes, but thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much, and we'll say more stuff at retirement parties for sure about you.
Oh, I bet.
But thank you very much for all your service to the district. You've done a lot of different things for us, and the kids are always at your best interest, and we thank you so much for your dedication.
My pleasure.
And I'll bear some more at other meetings. So, all right.
Rock, paper, scissors, guys, what are you doing?
All right, yeah, rock, paper, scissors, whichever you want us to go next. Craig or April?
Okay. All right, I don't have to be last this time. All right, you have my report in front of you. A lot of my time this quarter was all about ESSA programmatic monitoring. I started that work in September, I think is when we got the, hey, you get to do programmatic monitoring again. So that's collecting a lot of evidence. They asked for certain indicators, so it's gathering a lot of that stuff. And then on March 18th was when we had our actual monitoring day. I had uploaded, I think my last count was 128 pieces of evidence for them to look at. And they give us a sort of a summary, and then we're still waiting for the final report to come. But in the visit summary, there were definitely things that they mentioned that, like, we had a policy, but we didn't necessarily have a plan that goes along with that policy. So I've been working on that. The foster care, or the education of children in foster care, was one of the things that I worked on with Lindsay Pariga, the district's social worker, and foster care point of contact. So we took what the policy said and what she does, and we made a plan. So when we get our final report, my plan is that the information that we were lacking, we now have, so that we can close up monitoring. They did tell us at the state ESSA conference that if we were one of the lucky 7 schools in the state that were monitored for the last 2 years, we get a year off next year. So I'm excited about that, because it's a ton of work, but it's good work, right? We want to make sure that we are doing what we say we're doing, and that we are in compliance with, federal and state guidelines. I'm also working on updating our Title I plan. That's part of our consolidated application for Title grant funds. Our curriculum review, we're still going strong in ELA, social studies, and science. Right now, we have some members of the ELA committee that are testing out a unit of the arts and letters program. That's through Great Minds. That's one of the companies that they wanted to sort of check out and see what it was all about. So we're in the process of narrowing it down. Using our Title I funds, we were able to offer after-school tutoring for students at Canaan Elementary School. We had 19 students in K through 4 participating. They did 2 days a week, and so they did that from March to right before April vacation. I said they could go longer, but they said it's the spring and the kids get super busy because they get to do the youth sports league stuff and all of that. So they made the most of their time in that time frame. Currently at IRS, there are 10 students that are still receiving Title I after-school tutoring. Again, that's twice a week. They're wrapping up, I believe, either the first week of June or the last week of May. That's been going well. The kids are consistently attending, which is good. And then we started up the teacher evaluation committee. So just like we did in the fall when we met for the para evaluation, we are working on that for teachers. So we'll do the same process that the committee will meet. We will come to a sort of an agreement, and then it'll go to the union for the staff to vote on, and then all of that. But we're trying to work on
making the evaluation process meaningful and doable for all parties.
Totally, totally. And that was a big point of negotiations, was making it updated and current and
Yeah.
something that they could actually use to get good feedback, to improve their work, and so that administrators could use to actually communicate what they wanted to get out. And yeah,
Yes, and so we have on the committee, we have Tina, Jamie, Megan, and Chris Bizzo as administrators. I'm just the facilitator and minute taker. And then we have a building person from each
Great.
league. So
awesome.
it's pretty good. So it's great that we have all levels, and it's not just classroom teachers.
Good.
We've got special education
Good.
on the committee as well. So it brings in all the
Good
viewpoints.
mix.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So once that evaluation committee has happened, it goes to a vote for the union, or does it go into the negotiation process?
So I believe it goes to the union, and Amanda can correct me if I'm wrong. It goes to the union for their sort of oversee. They look at it and they go, yeah, we like this, or no, we don't.
And it actually doesn't need union approval. It's part of, built into the professional agreement, that there is a yearly review of this.
Yeah.
And it's combined, you know, they send their chosen representatives, we send ours, they come to a consensus, and that moves forward
Okay.
into the professional.
And then that gets agreed upon within the contract. Is that correct?
It does. The
Okay.
yearly review of it it's a little bit tricky, so there's a yearly review, so we don't approve it every year.
Right.
We have one that's approved and added into the professional agreement.
Okay.
And then every year we go through, and some years, there've been multiple years where we haven't made any changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've found that it's become a little bit cumbersome, so we've made some
I was
significant changes.
just thinking
this
that.
year.
It seems like a bit of a cumbersome
It is.
process.
Yes.
Cumbersome process.
Okay. All right.
And like one of the things that there are members that don't fit into the mold of the teacher evaluation, but they're still under a teacher contract, like school nurses, school
Yeah.
counselors.
Yeah.
So what can we do for them
Right.
that's meaningful, because that's
Yeah.
filling out stuff that talks about classroom management.
Right.
So we're really looking at trying to have something for all parties.
If I recall correctly, that was a big sticking point when we negotiated last time, was there's no way for people who are not teachers, technical, classroom teachers, it's very difficult to evaluate
Special ed
them.
counselors. stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So this version that April's preparing now with the committee will go into, we negotiate the professional agreement this fall
Yep, right.
for teachers. So this version will be what goes into that agreement.
I also think with evaluations, like having like transformational leadership and like kind of asking people what their goals are. I don't know what's in there, but I think that can be like really empowering for staff and motivating. Like now I want to, like, I feel like I do a good job every day, but I'm super motivated to keep doing that or like do better, and like these are my goals. And so I don't know if that's part of it, but I
yeah,
think
they
that's
do
okay,
meet
great.
with admin about their goals. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for April? All right, cool. Thank you so much. All right, Craig.
One thing I would like about
Come on down, Craig.
waiting for
Come
the,
on in.
I always make sure the tech ones last because it's never as exciting as all the other ones. But I divided our quarterly report into accomplishments and challenges. Because, this time of year, it's good to look at kind of what we've done and what we do well. And I do want to point out really quickly, as I listen to the other people and looking at the tech integration that's going on, the testing that's going on, the paychecks, speed of the way things work. I look at that we have a very reliable and robust back end that helps all this function. And I think it's a testament to the entire technology team for all the work that goes on behind the scenes to make these, because we could be up here going, well, we can't really give you our test results because the tech didn't work, and those would be bad days. But instead, we get through most of that stuff without hiccups. Our wireless system is completely robust. In fact, we're going to meet with Sunapee School District next week to create some sort of consortium, because when we bought these particular access points, they were newer and pricier, and there weren't a whole lot of people using them, but a lot of the state is using them now, and so we kind of need more groups to help take us to the next level. And we've been good here with our online connections, with our wireless, but the growth of the diversity of guest access has changed.
Yeah.
Like tenfold.
Yeah.
And we really need to this summer, and that's one of our major goals, is to create these diverse guest accesses for anybody from our distance learning program to our graphic arts program to our vendors who come through the door. And there's even like 6 or 7 more that I can't even think of that we need to do. We got like 10 that we need to figure out how we can accommodate all of these.
Or like one that I didn't think about was that now we have driver's ed.
That's
And that was a
that's on the
huge
list
one.
as well too.
Yeah, and so
Exactly.
now they need computer access and
Right.
they, you know.
Yep,
So,
and,
yeah.
and we're also going to kind of chop up the network a little bit and create offshoots with our access points and guest access for that as well. Right now, it kind of falls under one
Yeah.
kind of, it's not really segmented per se.
Mhm.
So that's one of our big projects to work on. On our security enhancements, we continue to, I look at least once a week our incident response plans and our continuity plan, because when this happens, I don't know so much, at least from what I'm reading with other districts that have gone through ransomware situations. It's really not all the weeds that kind of confounds the situations, it's the communication workflow. And so that to me is like, I'm looking at that all the time and going, how is this all gonna work? And if we're down 3, 6, 9, 12 weeks, we need to pay people. So what's that gonna look like? And so everything in between. And so I'm constantly looking at that. We deal with about 3,000 severe online threats per week. And I go look to see what some of those are, to look at patterns.
Mhm.
And I work with our managed service provider at CCI. They help us denote some of those and whether we have to elevate those to block those at a different level. So we are under a constant barrage of attacks.
Are they mostly like foreign? Or are they mostly, can you see?
Yeah, I can see.
So are they like from out of the country?
They are. We do a good job blocking those at the periphery.
Right.
It's when stuff gets inside from other areas that it gets inside on what we do.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting trends we saw, I'm seeing, is that we're doing a really good job stopping spam. We're doing a good job of not allowing all spam into the inboxes. But when I looked at, we have a report that had like, I'm gonna say like 3,500 emails that came through in a 4-day period. Most were picked up as spam. Lot got through, and only 90 people reported the spam. So when we're looking at machine learning, we really need to report. Anytime that somebody spots a spam, and we send out all the time, like if I get an email like, hey, I got this, what should we do? Mark it as phishing, mark it as spam,
Yeah.
mark it.
Yeah.
It helps our
Teach it.
machine learning
Yeah.
pick up, and it'll make it more robust as well. Because, I mean, face it, we're all gonna click on a link that comes through, no matter what kind of security we get, but the better we are at identifying it. And I do monthly, sometimes I do them a little more frequently. I can have auto sent out through our phishing program, fake phishing,
Right.
just to kind of see. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
We're about 97%
That's
effective,
pretty good.
and then or they just get good at me,
Spotting your fake
I
ones,
sent
yeah.
that out. That's not gonna work. But that's an ongoing battle.
Yeah.
I think they do recognize that. That's great. Craig sent that out.
Recognize
Don't even hit that one. That's it. But
Get one of your kids to write it instead.
well, what is
It's in
good
the
about
email,
it though?
it's in the address.
But what's great, I know, but what's great about it though is, and you're right, they can find it, but that's great, look, so people are now going another level and looking, that's great. They're asking me questions.
That's good.
Say, hey, I don't really recognize this, so I marked it as spam, perfect.
Mhm.
So it does, even though some of them, I know it does show them, but when everything's so crazy right now, right, this time of year, and most people aren't stopping to look at it. So I'll be sending out a lot more.
Yeah.
And when I get those, it's like, okay, there are people who are just stopping and looking at it. So that's a constant battle. And at the end of the day, somebody's just going to slip, no matter how robust we are. because we're barraged with it. I think I might even have.
I send you a lot of emails.
Yes, you are. You're very good.
Is this spam?
Should I open this or should
Is this
have
PG?
her help you write the fake emails.
And one of the things I do write back too is I say, if you don't recognize this person, don't open it. Call them or find a different way for them to contact you. So we're doing pretty good on that area. Anything else? Yeah. One of the highlights of the year too is the going with the AV Club to a couple of the conventions that they presented at the McAuliffe and the Innovation Conference there last month. That was a great highlight to see that. You'll see here, I put this in here, navigating under the ongoing challenges, navigating the complexities of content filtering. And I bring this up in just a little bit because I do get a lot of, we block everything.
Yeah.
But, I've got a little fact here to point out though.
Yeah.
The last 4 days, we've had 135,000 site visits and 2,000 were blocked. So that's not every site being blocked.
That's less than a 2% block rate.
That's almost arguable the other way.
Yeah,
Now,
so right around.
now,
Yeah,
granted,
you let in over 98% of what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's happening right now too is gone are the days of just the static website that gets blocked.
Right.
They're really not even websites anymore. They're called what they call progressive web apps.
Yeah.
So sometimes the blocks aren't so much it's blocked, like you just get the block. That does happen, but a lot of time it is a Google authorization access that needs to occur before it can go through. So the blocking with the content filtering it's very dynamic. It's a lot.
It's changed a lot.
It is, and then you got third-party apps, which even makes it more. It's a lot on the back.
Are you getting complaints from the one next to you there? Or?
She's good. She's good.
Yeah, 1,900 of the blocks are
No, I think 133,000.
God forbid I watch the weather.
Yeah,
I know, right?
You can't look out the window.
There's multiple websites for weather.
Watch it on my phone. We not have
You know Windows.
That's right.
You bring up a good point too when you look at kind of that barrage of incoming threats. Don't forget too, a lot of people on their phones.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, a student come down the other day and he was blocked on something. And then I'm like, all right, so are you accessing anything else on any other device? And he's like, well, so I do. I have a phone. I said, okay. And then he paused. He goes, I have a Chromebook, my own Chromebook too. I have a school Chromebook.
Okay.
Oh, and I use my parents' iPad once in a while.
Okay.
So we've got a lot going on there. You're 4 or 5, and that's not unusual.
Yeah.
A lot of people
that's
3,
common.
4,
Yeah.
5 different devices they're connecting to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just other ways that we're being kind of barraged that way. So I think that
makes sense.
Another little stat here. Didn't get them all.
Yeah.
I do.
All right.
I can add too, with the craziness of the year, we do have software that helps with risky behaviors. I will admit the last 2 or 3 weeks that's been very busy on detecting things that I have to bring to principals to then go and look at. And some of those are range from mildly severe to severe. Situations that do get flagged.
Yeah. Well, that flagging is an important thing and saves lives, and it's a very important aspect of it. So, any other questions for Craig?
Do you think that it would be beneficial to have trainings for staff when it comes to opening spam emails instead of just being able to I know, for example, this is granted it's not in schools, in a school district, but I know some companies will reward staff for not clicking on reporting certain things. You know what I mean? If that was something that was malicious or something that you send out or something that's creative in order to test the system when it comes to that, is that something that could benefit?
Absolutely. So the product we use right now.
I don't know about the back end of what that would require to set up.
No,
you know what I mean? But
you're on it.
Encourage people to do it.
We could. The software we actually use is underutilized in that regard. On the fish side and the stuff I send out and what they see, that's one part of it. There are ways to go in there where we could, I mean, I could set it up like this for individuals. Let's pretend you clicked on a fish link, and right now it just says, you know, it says fishing or whatever.
Right.
That could direct that person to a video training on that area.
Right.
If you know, we could do that. There are actually even training programs within the software that we could do.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the award system too, if that's something we wanted to do.
Right, if they're able
Sure.
to like actually like catch that, you know, and it's like, something like make sure that you're looking in your inbox, like don't just be clicking on things like that, you know?
Absolutely, we could.
Yeah, yeah. I was curious also if you ever do anything with the students on like teaching them savviness. I know they're super savvy on certain things, and then they think they're savvy on other things. But you know, I wonder if like at the beginning of the year, just like a crash course, and you know, I don't know how that goes over with that or not.
We do have, and I don't know if it's all year, every class, they do teach them that through Common Sense.
Yeah.
There's a program called Common Sense where they do run through curriculum.
Okay.
Through that. I don't know, is it just middle school, does it go into high
Is it,
school?
you're thinking of the digital
Digital
citizenship?
citizenship?
Digital citizenship, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's right, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
that occurs.
Cool. All right. Any other questions for Kurt? Only because you were talking about all the different access points and stuff. Will that enable us to operate a small, limited, like open public Wi-Fi at any point? Like just for people to just be able to log on, like guest access? Because you get people here after school or for different things. And I know the concern was like kids being accessing on it, you know, on their devices and flipping a switch at a time or that sort of thing. Is that something we can work towards?
So right now, that guest access is the open access that we have.
Okay.
The only way I broke it down this year, we've got to improve this, is I just create different access, guest access passwords.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the best way to
Right,
do this
right.
right now. But right now, that guest access is our public access.
Okay.
If somebody needs that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Absolutely.
So like there we could get to a point where we just have like, okay, this is the access,
Yes,
this is this month's password, like you have it once you walk in the building, you get it in the
Correct.
office or something like that. So,
Yeah,
all right.
and I think we've even tried that, I don't know if we did it this year, but last year for the basketball tournament game,
Oh,
we
okay.
posted it.
Okay.
I don't know if we did it this year, but that is totally where, in a better way, we would next year once we kind of cut this up. Right now it's a little rough because
Right.
anybody can have it.
Right.
And the password, because of that, I have expired every 30 days.
Yeah.
So as soon as somebody sometimes gets it, they may use it once and they go, well, it don't work anymore. Well, it's changing it.
Well, right.
So that stuff is already in place. Good. We just need to chop it up to make it a little better, and then that part of it can be its own little segmented piece.
I figured that'd be like the last piece of the puzzle because you get all the other stuff working to make it secure, and then like, okay, this is the time this spot to open. So
Yeah, perfect.
cool, cool.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you.
All right. Also in your packet, you have the special ed report. Chris is unable to be with us. Amanda, anything you want us to point out on that?
I don't think so. You know, I will note that there is a shortage of special educators. We still, I believe, are short when at Canaan Elementary School, building level coordinator for CES and EVS, and one special ed case manager at the middle school and one at the high school. So
Okay.
there is still a shortage.
Good. All right. Put that in there. All right. So we're going to table a bunch of stuff going forward, but the next thing that we can give, because we've discussed this in the past, we've done this in the past years. This is the school board. Lily, do you have a copy of this? I can give you a copy of this letter. So we recognize that since the renovation of the high school campus, there's been a desire to add more decorative and visually appealing bushes and shrubbery, particularly flowering plants, adding visual appeal to the campus during the spring. It boosts community spirit and gives students a sense of pride in their school. We propose the use of lilac bushes around the campus for a number of reasons. They're low maintenance, long lasting, and best of all, they boast brilliant purple flowers that bloom during May and June when we're all celebrating students' achievements such as graduation. Last year, the senior class agreed to purchase 2 lilac bushes, and we purchased 2 lilac bushes as a board. We would like to offer that to you class as well for the class of 2025 to kind of start contributing lilac bushes to the school grounds, and we will add your class to a plaque that we need to get. But if that is something that you would like to propose to your senior class,
I'll show that to them on Friday.
wonderful, thank you so much. Yep, so that is an exciting thing that I think is going to be really cool once we have a couple years of graduates under our belt. We'll have nice purple lilacs on the hillside here. So, all All right, let's see here. Next, school board retreat date, we can set that. We don't have to vote on that. But typically that's a Sunday afternoon in June. Amanda, is the senior awards on the 8th?
It is on the 9th. It has been moved
To a Monday night.
On Monday evening.
Oh, okay. In that case, would people still like to keep their, our retreat on the Sunday the 8th? Does that work for people?
What would be the time?
So it would be, typically we just start around lunchtime, we get lunch, and we go for about 3 hours or so. Typically noon to 3, noon to 4 is usually what we've done, because we put it up against the senior awards ceremony, but if they're not having it on Sunday, just we won't do that. So it could be any time of the day on Sunday.
If we could start in the afternoon, I would.
Yeah, like 1 o'clock or something like that? 2?
Yeah.
Does 2 o'clock on that Sunday afternoon work?
Yeah, I think.
Sunday the 8th?
Yeah.
Amanda, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, we will tell everyone else those dates. And if for some reason that does not work at the next board meeting, we will do that. On the subject of the next board meeting, unfortunately, we have to change the date of it, because typically it's the Tuesday. I am not 100% sure of Brewster's schedule with baseball playoffs and stuff. I am unable to be here on Tuesday the 27th. My dad is getting married the day before. He's 77 and he's getting married again. And so I'm going to his wedding. So I will be coming back from Virginia on that Tuesday. So I talked to Amanda, and if you are available Wednesday the 28th, 6 o'clock, same time here, we will have our meeting on that night instead. Wednesday nights usually work. This is like a one-off. It would not be. This is. I can think of like on count on one hand the times it's not been on a Tuesday in 10 years. So yeah, this would just be a one-off kind of thing. But that is what I would like to do. Is schedule the next.
28th.
Okay, good. All right. And I already talked when Kathleen called me actually to tell me that she was sick, just to make sure she got my email, and I told her that. She said, "Good, I'll put it in my calendar so she'll know." And I will reach out to Dawn and Brewster as well. All right, school board vacancy, Dorchester. We'll have to table that till the next meeting because we have to vote on what we want to do. But basically, the procedure is for us to, as a board, say we need another person from Dorchester. We are accepting letters from residents of Dorchester who would like to be on the board. So at our next meeting, we will make that official that we will put that in public, and we will publish it in the Valley News. We will publish it in if Dorchester has a newsletter. We will notify the town of Dorchester. And basically we'll just look for a letter of interest saying I'm interested in being the school board member. We'll take those letters after the deadline that we set, and then we'll read them here at the board meeting and then decide who we should have that. So that's how we will work that operation. But we have to approve that. We have to vote on that as a board to do that, and we'll do that at our next meeting. Same thing with the National Student Board Member Association membership, Voices in Action. This is really cool. I'm glad you found this, Amanda. That was that. Oh, I found it, but I'm glad you put it in the packet. I'm saying as well. You followed through on it, is what I'm saying.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. But yeah, that'll set our next school board member up for really successful stuff, because Lily, you set the bar really high. So we have to bring in like outside training to get them up that good. But yeah, I would love to have our student board member take more part in that. And I noticed in the co-curricular summary, I happened to read that they were thinking about changing the election for the school board rep to the spring.
A lot of other school districts do that, and I think it would be worthwhile for us to do that.
This spring, do it. Yeah. So like at the end of your school year, that way you would be able to talk to the next person too.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think that would be. I think.
Does it happen in the fall right now?
It does happen in the fall during the general elections for student council.
Yeah.
So I do think there are a lot of other school districts that vote in May, and so I'll talk to Tina about maybe getting out a quick vote now.
Yeah.
And then if you all want to approve, us signing the new rep up for this camp, we'll move forward with that. So.
And we can do that the next. Yeah, okay. I would love for them to do all their elections in the spring for the following year, because that way they could meet and work during the summer, like their junior class, senior class, that sort of thing.
Like seed process. Anything through the summer, they can come when they can.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next thing on our agenda: non-union employee Orange Plan insurance option. Amanda and I talked about this. I don't know that we need to approve this because this is just an option that they have, and this would be non-union employees. So basically, just administrators and people at the SAU who are not covered by the union contract. Correct. And this would allow them to purchase a cheaper plan. It's cheaper for us as well. But I don't know that we need, if we do for some reason need an approval, that Peter says we need an approval for some reason. I don't think we
Yeah, and
do
I'm
though.
not, this is more of a courtesy.
Yeah.
The story behind this is that when the support staff moved to the orange plan, I was approached by some administrators that said, I'd be very interested in changing to that orange plan also. So I said, okay, I don't see any reason. And then I said, shoot, maybe I better make sure with the school board. So
Yeah.
there is a cost savings involved. It's hard to argue with the cost savings.
Right.
But there are a few members in this cohort that would be interested in moving from the yellow plan to the orange.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good to know. All right, next thing on our agenda, we will table this Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation grant for Destination Imagination for $15,000. That is a very generous gift on their behalf. However, I think just because we have to vote to approve it, we can't vote tonight. So, and their trip is coming up, but we have enough money to cover it and then accept the gift after their trip. So we will do that, if that works okay. Same thing, we'll table the auditorium sound system bid, but those are in your packets to read, and that way if you have any questions, we can prepare them for next time, and Seth, I'm sure, will have every answer that you possibly could want about all that fun equipment, so that's great. Same thing with funds transfer requests for major systems, capital reserve. This is to finish off some things in there. We'll do that at our next one. We talk about capital reserve plan. And then every single one of these policies, we will table all of these.
Tim,
What?
can we look at
What?
HA, HB, HC, HCA,
Oh.
HP, HPA?
All the ones that say review?
Just the ones that say review, because if there are no changes or if no one
Oh.
has any concerns on them,
Yeah.
you can just mark them as
Oh, that's right.
review
Yeah.
and get them off the docket. And I have
Yeah.
policy anxiety.
Yes. I did not see anything, and even, I don't know if all of these exist with the School Board Association, but if they do or they don't, it doesn't really matter.
I can
they
tell
work.
you, actually, I don't believe they do.
But you know what? They work for us. So if the School Board Association comes out with something that keeps everything, the only thing that I would like to maybe hold is HCA, open shop policy for
I
discussion.
think that would get rescinded.
to,
I checked with Peter. Hold on, give me
What?
1 second here.
so we're talking about that potentially just being no
Yeah, I
voice,
think
but-
that
Yeah.
that is a rescind, I believe.
So we'll switch that to rescind.
I did check on that.
Yeah, I remember talking
hold
about
on.
this.
Let me pull it up in the email, because it's on the paper. Oh, yes, here we go. Peter has said, policy HCA is obsolete, so that we will put for
Yes,
a
rescission.
rescind, and policy HB is technically still correct.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, I'm glad you caught that one. But yeah, I don't see anything with HA, HB, or HC personally. We'll mention that at the next meeting, and if any other board member does have something to say, then we can bring it
Yeah,
up. the
I'll
hall.
just have Martha mark them reviewed so
Yep.
they don't look like 30-year-old
Yes,
policies
yes.
anymore. It'll just simply say, well, say adopted, it'll just say
Yep,
reviewed
we
in the
looked at 'em.
state. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for catching that part. And yeah, we'll rescind next time. We can rescind HCA and all the other ones that are listed here. So cool. All right. And then I just see also in your packet, this was the cost for the School Board Association or the student rep, $358.75 to attend that conference online over the summer. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So just so you know, online. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Okay. Agenda items for next meeting, which will be Wednesday the 28th, same time, 6 p.m. We'll have committee reports. If we have any resolutions for NHSBA, we can talk about those. That's the time to get those started. Any topics for the board retreat, we'll talk about that as well. Cool. Public comment. Anything from you folks?
Just one, and it has something to do with the school, but not a lot.
That's okay.
It has more to do with Friends of Mascoma. The Enfield Select Board approved Friends of Mascoma having place in Enfield again. We haven't been in Enfield since COVID because there wasn't really a space. And since they have finished Whitney Hall, and the police department will be moving out of there. The Enfield Friends of Mascoma will be in the police station.
The old police station, all right.
Downstairs.
All right.
We will have
Oh, so you
right
have
now we have 2
garage
days in
door.
Canaan.
Yep.
We're going to be changing it, so Tuesday will be Canaan, Wednesday will be in Enfield. What we find is it's a different clientele in Enfield. It's an older clientele when we were there. There's a lot more seniors. So by having, the seniors would have a hard time getting to Canaan.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of them don't have a problem driving 4 or 5 blocks, but to go to Canaan sometimes is tough. So we will be reopening probably within 6 weeks
That's awesome.
in Enfield. And it will be a full food pantry. It won't be a portable like we were doing at Hughes Park.
Yeah.
So we're bringing over all the freezers and everything, and hopefully it will help the people of Enfield.
Awesome.
So that's it.
That's
And
exciting.
Just
That's-
another one is we got 18 scholarship requests this year.
All right.
We've been working on them. Probably coming up with them on Thursday, so we'll be ready to give out the scholarships on the 9th.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else? All right. Cool. So we can't go to non-public because we're not running a real meeting. So I guess anyone else have anything else? I guess we can end our hangout session because that's all this has really been. So thanks for hanging out with us and talking
You
about.
can't even vote to adjourn.
No, we don't have to. I didn't even call a meeting. So there's nothing to adjourn.